She was only 8 years old when her world disappeared into the waves. A violent storm, a vanished boat, and no trace of her or her grandparents ever again. For over 2 decades, the mystery haunted a quiet coastal town, until a group of explorers uncovered something hidden deep inside a sealed sea cave and the truth finally began to surface. This is a haunting, true story of loss, survival, and the fight for justice. A girl taken by the sea, who returned with answers no one expected. Before we dive into this incredible story, take a moment to like this video if you enjoy gripping mysteries. Comment your thoughts along the way. We read every single one. And subscribe for more powerful stories like this one, delivered straight to you every week. The storm had not been forecasted. Not this one. The skies over MR.GB grew black and bloated by evening, pressing low over the sea like a warning unheeded. 8-year-old Mira Callaghan sat at the windowsill of her grandparents' cliffside cottage, tracing raindrops down the pane with her finger. Her dolphin plush, Flip, nestled against her cheek. Downstairs, her grandfather, Graham Callaghan, slammed the back door, boots muddy, breath sharp. He argued with someone again, a man Mira didn't recognize. She crept down halfway on the stairs and saw them. The man's voice was low, insistent, dangerous. Her grandfather's was firm, resisting. That night, her grandmother, Moira, tucked Mira in with a strange urgency. Pack your little bag. Love, just the essentials. Flip your sweater, that book you like. Thunder rolled. Mira slept restlessly. Then she woke to a terrible roar. Earth shifted. The house trembled. She remembered her grandfather grabbing her hand, shouting for Moira, and then everything blurred. Darkness, cold sea air, fear. By morning, the Callaghan cottage was half buried in mud and stone. No trace of the boat. No Mira. No Graham or Moira. Inspector Te'awa remembered that storm well. Landslides across the region blocked roads, missing livestock. But the Callaghan disappearance unsettled them most. The local authorities searched for days. No footprints. No sign of the boat, Saltwind. Just the remains of collapsed foundation, debris, and one child's boot found near the cliff's edge. The sea gave no answers. Rumors swirled. Murder-suicide, a planned escape, abduction. But without evidence, the case went cold. Bryce Hartwell, a real estate developer who had long wanted Callaghan's coastal land, bought the surrounding plots within months. A group of spelunkers exploring sealed sea caves along the MR.GB coast stumbled upon something strange. Wedged inside a narrow cavern, barely accessible during low tide, was a long-forgotten fishing vessel, barnacle-encrusted, tilted on its side, but still intact. Inside the cabin, a small embroidered satchel, a faded dolphin plush, and a waterwork journal. The boat's registration, Saltwind, registered to Graham Callaghan. 22 years after the vanishing, Jesse Nothigh, Myra's childhood friend, now an investigative journalist, sat in her Wellington apartment watching the news footage. The memories returned instantly. The muddy yard, the swing, Myra's laugh. Jessie changed her plans and boarded the next ferry north. The local constabulary reopened the file. Jessie met with Inspector Te'awa, who still remembered her from the original search. "Do you believe it?" Jessie asked. "I believe in bones," he said. "I believe in answers. Let's find some." Te'awa handed Jessie a plastic evidence bag. Inside was a journal, its blue cover stained and warped. She opened it gently. Each entry was in Myra's 8-year-old scrawl. Simple lines describing her day, drawings of the dog that lived next door, her love for the sea. But then the entries darkened. Granddad says we have to be careful. He told Mom something before she died. Said Mr. B came again. He wants the land. The final entry read, "We are leaving after dinner. Granddad says it's safer on the boat tonight. The man might come back. I hope Flip doesn't get wet." Jessie remembered the name Bryce Hartwell. Wealthy, poised, always hiding behind others. She searched public records. In 1996, Silvertide Holdings purchased 3 adjoining properties near the Callaghan land. No agents, no public offer, cash transfer. She found a photo of Hartwell attending a local fundraiser from that era. A blurry image, but it sparked a memory. He had visited the school once. Mira had cried that day. Jessie hadn't understood why. At a gallery exhibit in Auckland, Jessie saw a painting of the Mahurangi coastline. The artist was listed as Elena Ridge. In her mid-30s, hazel eyes, quiet demeanor. Jessie introduced herself casually. "Your painting. It looks just like the Callaghan headland," Jessie said. Elena blinked. "That's strange. I've never been there." But Jessie noticed a birthmark just under her wrist, the same place Mira had won. She asked Elena to meet again the next day. Jessie brought an old photograph. 2 girls on a rope swing. Mira and Jessie. Elena stared. Her hands trembled. "I don't remember this, but that swing. It feels real. I don't know how." They sat in silence. Jessie told her everything. The journal, the boat, the discovery. Elena broke down. "I have dreams of being in a boat, but it crashes. Then I wake up." She admitted she'd been adopted around age 9. No records before that. Inspector Te'awa authorized a forensic analysis of the boat's interior. Mold samples confirmed the cave had protected the boat for over 2 decades. But most chilling was a strand of long, reddish-blonde hair found knotted around the satchel string. DNA came back. Partial match to Graham Callahan's cousin. The journal, the photo, the plush toy, and now hair. Jessie whispered to Elena, "You're Mira. You always were." Jessie visited the old Callaghan property. The ruins were overgrown, but the chimney remained a solitary sentinel. She crouched by the remnants of Myra's childhood hideout and uncovered a rusted tin box. Inside, children's drawings, seashells, and a water-damaged photo. The photo showed Graham facing down a man near the edge of the cliff. The man's posture was aggressive. Jessie suspected it was Hartwell. Back in town, Jessie combed through old tow truck service logs from 1995. A one-time job stood out. A red utility boat hauled inland 2 weeks after the storm, signed off by someone named R. Harker. Jessie tracked down Richard Harker, now in his 70s, living in Whangarei. He remembered the boat. "They told me not to talk. Paid me cash. Said it was storm salvage. I always thought it was strange. It had a kid's jacket stuff in the cabin." Mira, slowly reclaiming fragments of memory, described a place with grapevines and a silver shed. Jessie cross-referenced Hartwell's holdings. A forensic team and cadaver dogs were deployed. Within hours, bones were uncovered under the vineyard. The dental records confirmed it. Graham and Mira Callaghan. Jessie and Mira held each other in silence. Among the skeletal remains was a damaged pocket watch with an engraving. For our hero, Dad. Love, always. Myra's hands shook when she saw it. I gave that to Granddad on his last birthday. The watch also bore a partial fingerprint. Analysis confirmed the second print belonged to Bryce Hartwell. With Myra's consent, a formal DNA test was conducted. It confirmed her identity as Mira Callaghan. The results were shared with Inspector Te'awa, who began assembling an arrest report. Jesse sent the findings to national news outlets. A quiet but firm arrest was made. Bryce Hartwell, the untouchable tycoon, was escorted from his Remuera estate. Charges: double homicide, child concealment, unlawful property acquisition, and evidence tampering. He said nothing. Hartwell's empire crumbled. Investors pulled out. News agencies exploded with the story. Jesse published a piece, Buried Beneath the Waves, the Mira Callaghan case. It spread like wildfire. Mira watched the arrest on TV in silence. Her past was no longer invisible. The courtroom was packed. Mira testified calmly. Jesse's photos and records were submitted as evidence. A jury found Hartwell guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to life in prison, no parole. Justice at long last. Mira stood at the edge of the Callaghan property. Grass now grew where wreckage once lay. She scattered wildflower seeds around the old chimney. Jesse placed a dolphin plush, Flip, in a handmade shadow box. He kept us safe, Mira whispered. Mira changed her legal name back. She donated part of the legal settlement to a coastal preservation trust. She and Jesse spent afternoons walking the beach, laughing again. Mira no longer feared the ocean. It had brought her back. While sorting through a box of belongings recovered from the sea cave, Mira found a bundle of letters in Moira's handwriting. None had been mailed. They were addressed to Myra's parents, written after their deaths. Emotional, raw, filled with the hope that one day they would meet again in peace. Mira read each one aloud on a rainy evening as Jesse listened. It was grief transformed into closure. Inspector Te'awa disclosed that several officers had once raised concerns about Hartwell's behavior during the original investigation, but were silenced. They called to protecting the town's interests. Mira wrote an open letter calling for reform in how rural crimes are handled when power is involved. The piece went viral. The Callaghan property, once absorbed into Hartwell's holdings, was returned to Mira. Instead of selling, she announced the land would become a marine education retreat for orphans and youth from broken homes. If one place saved me, maybe it can save others. Through therapy, Mira began remembering her grandmother's lullabies. Jesse encouraged her to write them down, record them. Myra's voice, quiet and unsure, soon became part of a healing podcast Jesse launched, Lost and Found. The episode on Mira reached millions. One late autumn evening, Mira returned alone to the Pohutukawa tree. A swing had been rebuilt. She sat there, her shadow long and still, and whispered goodbye to Graham and Moira. I found my way back. You kept me safe. Now I keep your memory safe, too. Jesse's article became a full-length book, co-written with Mira. It was titled Saltwind, A Girl Lost to the Sea. It became a bestseller. Schools invited them to speak. Documentaries followed, not for fame, but to spark change. Mira adopted a stray dog she named Karoo, built a tiny cabin beside the water. Jesse visited often, her own apartment now covered with photos from their shared journey. One frame showed them at the courthouse, arms linked. On the 25th anniversary of the storm, Mira hosted a small memorial on the headland. Former rescuers, locals, and new friends came. She read a passage from Moira's journal. Love doesn't vanish. It changes shape. Like the tide, it always returns. Mira stood once more on the beach, where the wind touched her hair the way Moira used to. She closed her eyes. A scent of salt, a flash of memory. Graham holding her hand, pointing to the stars. They'll always guide you, girl. Jessie and Mira sat side by side, watching the tide roll in. There were no more questions, just shared silence. Voiceover. The sea never gave her back. She came back on her own, and in doing so brought justice, healing, and truth to shore. She was never meant to be found, but against all odds, she uncovered the truth, reclaimed her name, and gave her grandparents the justice they were denied for decades. Some stories don't end. They echo, and this one will stay with us. If this story moved you, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts and theories. Don't forget to like the video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel for more real-life mysteries, emotional journeys, and unforgettable true stories told just like this. She was never meant to be found, but against all odds, she uncovered the truth, reclaimed her name, and gave her grandparents the justice they were denied for decades. Some stories don't end. They echo, and this one will stay with us. If this story moved you, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts and theories. Don't forget to like the video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel for more real-life mysteries, emotional journeys, and unforgettable true stories told just like this.